Hello, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for October 17th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 291. Got close to, I think, 1,400 episodes so far altogether across ohmTown. Go and check them all out over on YouTube. The last 60 days are here on Twitch. But I stream to both. The Sentient AI is not with me today. They're out on assignment, but they'll be here for a non-time machine episode. Today we're going to be talking about rising cocoa prices, off-balance water cycle. Am I being investigated by the FBI? Why, yes. The time bomb capsule, expulsion rooms, 16,000 bottles of fake French wine, fired for buying toothpaste, not lunch, a $17,000 house, Cats translate words to images. And finally, gassing the economy. It's a good thing. Maybe? Apparently? I don't know. Let's talk about it on the other side. Everything is powered by ohmtown.com. That's that site right there. Go over and check it all out. All right, so let's get into this. This is a time machine episode, so I kind of have to go through it pretty quickly, but we are going to reset afterward and then do the normal show, not the time machine show, for the 18th, because I missed yesterday. Mayoral duties typically prevent me from doing the Thursday show on time, but hey, it is what it is. Let's get going. First article is, and by the way, you can download all of the shows because we have a podcast. It's called Non Sequitur News over on Apple and anywhere you catch pod. Don't worry about it. Just go do a search wherever you listen to podcasts, and ohmTown should be there along with all of the 6 other weekly shows. Non Sequitur News is the daily show, and then we've got 6 additional ones that cover niche topics across the spectrum of ohmtown.com. This first one, though, is over in the mobile channel. Rapidly rising cocoa prices could make Halloween candy even more expensive. We've actually been following this for a while now because I've got a couple of products that I've had in development for a while now, and I keep watching this cocoa prices go through the roof. So thanks to inflation, you likely notice the cost of grocery store runs have been creeping up, and candy's no exception. This year, supply shortages from major producing countries like Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana have driven the dramatic increase of cocoa prices thanks to adverse weather conditions and crop diseases. According to Ghana's Food and Agriculture Minister, Brian Anchampong, I think is how they pronounce their last name. Cocoa prices have more than doubled for the 2024-2025 cocoa season. While the full effect may take some time to reach store shelves, people can expect to pay more for chocolate, if not now, through awareness at the corporate level of these changes. Obviously, they're going to seek profit prior to the actual financial burden hitting them, because they know it's coming. They can just jack the price up now. So the article is by Sammy Caramella over at vice.com. There are chocolate alternatives out there, but we won't get into it now, but I'll probably end up doing some kind of discussion about it in the near future, mainly because I'm interested in this kind of thing, and I'm in the middle of doing a project where cocoa can play a big role in it. So not to be cagey, but so supply shortages from major producing countries are going to drive up the prices. It says dramatic increase in cocoa prices in 2024. They say thanks to inflation, but we are the bearers of inflation. Not we as in the consumers, the producers, humans are the cause of inflation. So when somebody detects, and they're greedy, they can raise the prices until they feel that it's negatively impacting on the profitability. So they'll keep on jacking the price up, and you'll have to pay it. So take movie theaters, for instance. Movies have been producing more money, but on fewer screens and fewer movies. So you have little to no competition. Major suppliers of the movie feed is from these major suppliers. Smaller companies get acquired by the mega corporations. And this is the standard. You get less quality, etc. There's a lot of fan, favorite kind of explosions and murder mystery kind of stuff. But really what it comes down to is you have fewer choice. You get what you get, and you're going to go to a movie theater and pay more and get less. And you just have to look at history to show that. And that goes for all supplies. The supplier at the raw material supply side are raising their prices. They're going to blame inflation, but they are the cause of the inflation based on my review of the economics. So, according to Ghana's Food and Agriculture Minister, Brian Echepong, cocoa prices have more than doubled for the 2024-2025 season, and that's because they say supply shortages caused by a natural disaster. Already, many candy producers are reportedly focusing on non-chocolate products due to these record high cocoa prices, boosting production on other types of candy like gummies, basically sugar replacements instead of cocoa. For example, Hershey launched Shackalicious XL gummies, which were part of a partnership with the NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal. So no shit news at $4.49. According to Branch, you might also notice that Halloween candy bags are smaller than in previous years, but virtually the same price. He calls this shrinkflation. We all call it shrinkflation, but making it sound like it's something out of their hands is bullshit. Their profit margins they're going to be profitable. Record profits, by the way. And so it just, Branch is just a person, a sector manager for Agri-Food Institute. But where they say, you might also notice these companies are the cause of this shrinkflation. They're charging the same, which means they're increasing their profit. They're making more. They're actually making the same, but each instance is priced higher for less, and your options are going to change, all because it's more about greed than it is about anything else. We could have the same thing, but you can't fend off investors with the same percentage or even a moderate percentage. You have to maximize profits because that's the ideological bent we have formulated, where greed is good, and the only thing that a company has to do is produce profit. That's what, the person who said it now regrets saying it, but because it's bullshit. We can have a different type of compass, and it doesn't have to be pure greed. Anyway, let's move on. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Google water cycle off balance for first time in human history, according to a report. The world's water cycle is out of balance for the first time in human history. According to this new report, the Global Commission on the Economics of Water, which is made up of global experts, attributed the imbalance to decades of collective mismanagement and undervaluation of water, which again, this is bullshit. There is enough water and technology out there that we should be able to afford water at a low or no cost based on taxes and whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous that undervaluation, when I hear it in this phrase, undervaluation of water, they're talking about money. They're not talking about undervaluing it in an ethereal sense of it's the most important liquid on the freaking planet. Without water, all life dies. So it says we can no longer count on fresh water availability for our collective future, the report said. And the water cycle is the movement of water in the Earth's ground and atmosphere and includes processes such as water evaporation and precipitation. So it is a circle of life where water evaporates from the ground into the atmosphere, condenses, and drops back down as rain. It fills up basins. We drink the water. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Mismanagement? Yeah, I can understand that, considering we're spraying fields in a desert. It's batshit crazy. But hey, where money it can be made, money will be made, right? Water be damned. So Rachel Frazen over at thehill.com put the article together. The commission is affiliated with the government of the Netherlands and is facilitated by the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, a group of the world's wealthiest nations. Its report said that 1,000 children under the age of 5 die each day from illnesses related to unsafe water and sanitation. Again, we need more context about this, because if it's in nations that have limited innovation, limited technology, limited, they say, unsafe water and sanitation, then that is where we need to focus. But we also need to focus on ideological bent changes where we value things like moderation. And we need to change the world's perspective about how to treat water, and that it's not just something that we can spray over desert geographies for days on end, so that we can grow freaking nuts on a hill. I mean, it's nuts that we even do it. But there's more context here, and I'm sure that it's in the document that they're talking about here, but I would have to go and find this document and get it. So the report also projected severe economic impacts if current practices don't change. The combined impacts of these issues and rising temperatures caused by climate change could shrink the gross domestic product rates of high economic or high income countries by an average 8% in 2050 and lower income countries by 10 to 15%. So this will lead to strife, conflict, and maybe we're witnessing that. Let's keep moving though. The next article is over in Mobble. It's a channel that I'm actually working on another project to bring a different service to Mobble, but hopefully it will play well with ohmtown.com. So FBI arrests man who searched, how can I know for sure if I'm being investigated by the FBI? Well, apparently if you do that search, maybe it lets the FBI know. Eric Council Jr. is accused of helping to hack the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission's Twitter account in order to post false information about Bitcoin. Todd Feathers over at gizmodo.com put this article together. According to this article, they hacked the account in order to post erroneous information about Bitcoin that briefly drove the price of cryptocurrency up by $1,000. The U.S. Attorney's Office of the District of Columbia said that Eric Council Jr., who needs counsel in the form of an attorney, received personally identifying information and an ID template from co-conspirators that allowed him to make fake ID cards for someone with access to the SEC's Twitter account. He allegedly then used that ID card to at a cell phone store in Huntsville, Alabama, to obtain an iPhone with a SIM card linked to the victim's phone number. And then using the spoofed phone, counsel allegedly helped co-conspirators log into the SEC's Twitter account, from which they posted a tweet falsely claiming that today the SEC granted approval for Bitcoin ETFs for listing on all registered national security exchanges. In exchange for his help, counsel allegedly received payment in Bitcoin. 25-year-old now felon did a suspicious internet search for phrases like SEC GOV hack, Telegram swap. Jesus. How can I know for sure if I'm being investigated by the FBI? What are the signs you're being investigated by the FBI or law enforcement or FBI, even if you've not been contacted by them? Yeah, the January 9 hack spiked the value of Bitcoin for a short time before SEC Chairman Gary Gensler posted from his own account that the information was false, after which the price of Bitcoin dropped by $2,000. Interesting. So I think everybody involved in this should have been prosecuted. like from the telecom company all the way involved in this conspiracy. Nobody should be able to do a SIM swap, particularly for a government agency or a government agent that's in charge of a government agency's Twitter account. There should be so many checks and balances that it makes it just untenable to try and hack in. So interesting. 25-year-old. It definitely wasn't worth your while there, bub, was it? Let's keep moving. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel as well. Why a Kansas City museum called the Bomb Squad to open a 100-year-old time capsule. The Kansas City Museum took great caution when unveiling a century-old time capsule on August 16th. The National War Museum, World War I Museum, and Memorial held a ceremony to open up a time capsule that was entombed 100 years prior to the Liberty Memorial Tower. So before the public event, museum staff unearthed and opened the time capsule, which was no easy task. Staff had to drill inside the wall made of 18 inches of concrete and limestone to retrieve the capsule, which had shifted a few inches over the century. When they got the capsule out of the wall, apparently some indicator said, you know what, there's something wrong here. Instead, staff called the Kansas City Bomb Squad to assist. The move was a necessary one, as staff was aware that contained in the capsule was film from the time, which, oh right, the nitrite film. Wow, back in those days, film was made of nitrite, which actually becomes flammable and spontaneously combusts. When oxygen comes in contact with it, it can explode. So the bomb squad did their job, nothing exploded, much to the curator's delight. So what normally happens is they try and recover this film and then translate it into a non-flammable either film or they digitize it. Things only got better when they looked inside and found that nothing was damaged from water or mold. So yeah, at the ceremony, there were airplanes circling overhead, a band concert, patriotic music. They even released doves. Matthew Naylor, president and CEO, told the crowd on Wednesday. There was colored smoke, and there was reading from the 5 Allied commanders who had been there in 1921, and also from President Calvin Coolidge. So, ta-da! Inside was 15 objects, including newspapers, a Bible, and American Declaration of War from 1917, seeds and letters. Of course. Let's keep moving. This next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Bandai Namco reportedly using Expulsion Rooms for layoffs. So Bandai Namco is basically a video game publisher, and one of the things that apparently is going on in Japan is the labor laws are restrictive in how you can fire somebody. Essentially, it makes it very difficult. And so what's going on is you're basically being put in a room with no assignments, no tasks, no nothing. Your brand name is going to diminish if you stay in this room. So to save face and to move you out, motivate you to quit, you get assigned an expulsion room. So Japan's labor laws make it difficult to lay off employees. So Bandai Namco has allegedly resorted to expulsion rooms. Louis Prada over at Vice.com put this article together. And so they don't sit there and say that they fired you. You don't say that you were fired. You also can't run around saying, well, all I'm doing is sitting around in a room. I work for Bandai Namco, but I'm not really doing anything. So the company changes come after Bandai Namco either canceled or stalled development on a series of projects in the past year, including a smartphone game called Tales of the Rays and an MMORPG called Blue Protocol that was released in Japan but saw its Western release canceled, which really sucks because I love our MMORPGs. I'm playing New World right now, and what's the other one? Throne and Liberty I'm playing. There's a VR one that I used to play, but I think it's gone under now. I haven't played it in a while, so hey, it is what it is. And I used to absolutely loved ArcAge, but it too died on the vine 3 times. And ultimately, I'm waiting for, what is it called? Oh my gosh, I just forgot the name of it, and I'm waiting for it. Wow, I don't know. I forgot the name of it. I won't linger. Ashes of Creation. I will linger. I had to say it. Anyway, so Bandai Namco is basically using these little proxy rooms to get people to quit. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over on the Mobile channel. Fake French wine scam with 16,000 bottles uncovered in Italy. Imagine spending $16,000 on a fancy bottle of French wine. And it was actually Italian. Oh my gosh. The equivalent of Clutch My Pearls. I usually just grab the cheapest bottle with the cutest design, so this is truly beyond me, says the author. On Wednesday, European Union law enforcement agency Europol revealed that it had uncovered and shut down an extensive, decade-long wine fraud operation, as the New York Times actually reported it. So this is from Vice.com. Sammy Caramella put it together. With rare wine prices on the rise, scammers are capitalizing with some good old-fashioned wine fraud. So the scheme involved producing wine in Italy, falsely labeling it as French, and secretly distributing these purported high-quality French wines to unaware dealers globally. 6 people were taken into custody after a raid where investigators seized counterfeit Grand Cru wines, forging materials, bottling equipment, and a substantial amount of cash. With rare wine prices, and rare wine is always increasing, my understanding is. So these victims, of course, aren't the average Joe or Jane. You piss off the wrong rich people and you will always be the target. But if you target poor people, you basically can get millions of dollars and thousands upon thousands of people. It's almost a freaking business plan. But if you go after the rich, you're going to get screwed. So these people, of course, aren't the Joe average, Jane or Joe. So the people are committing these crimes. The people who are the victims of these crimes are generally middle to upper class white males. I think people struggle to be sympathetic to the victims of fraud who got this kind of money to drop on a bottle of wine. Yeah, that's not really how it works. But okay, yeah. Some people sit there and say, yeah, well, they've got enough money that, blah, blah, blah. But really, when somebody gets taken advantage of and they don't have the means to survive post-fraud, it's a little bit different. So let's not pretend that these people are way out and soul crushed and incapable of paying their mortgage the next month. Otherwise, they shouldn't be doing that shit. But okay, whatever gets you through the day. But let's keep going. I think it's funny. I think it's funny though. That the author of this goes, sips my $16 Pinot Grigio. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, $16. That's more my speed too. So I'll buy you a bottle. Invite me over to Vice so that I can see the inner workings. But I think everybody probably works from home nowadays. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel, which is a show all about business transformation, but it's in planning stages still. I want to talk about how businesses pivot from one thing to another and turn around. So MetaFire staff are buying toothpaste, not lunch, is the title. Meta workers reportedly used vouchers that should have been spent on meals to buy household goods. But man, I hate close-ups of people. Mitchell Labiak over at bbc.com put the article together. We've noticed a couple of BBC articles are from previous periods, but this one is actually from within the last 24 hours of when the time machine kicked off. So there are differing accounts over how much of a warning, if any, the owner of Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp gave the workers before firing them, but these workers at Meta have reportedly been sacked for abusing the tech firm's meal voucher system, such as using it to buy toothpaste and washing powder. You bastards. Other breaches of the policy included sharing the vouchers with others or going over budget, according to people who say they work at Meta. So Meta staff are given $25 for lunch, $20 for breakfast, $25 for dinner in vouchers that are meant to be used for ordering food from Grubhub, the US name for a takeaway website, Just Eat. So I'll just leave it at that. So one of the objectives of big business, particularly .com type businesses, which really, I don't think .com is used anymore, but that was the namesake back in the .com era 20 years ago. But one of the things, one of the motivators, I suppose, one of the perks of the job beyond a large sum salary is the perks. And one of those perks is what would normally have been just referred to as free lunch, breakfast, food, drink. And it's so that you don't have to leave. It isn't to be altruistic. It isn't to be beneficial to the employees. It is to keep your ass in the seat working. And if you're not in the seat working at the office, you're in your seat working at home if they're allowing telework. So Grubhub, for instance, because in the headquarters, they would have a kitchen, chefs cooking food. So examples of, one user wrote that more than 30 people were fired last week because they used the credits for non-food items, shared credits with other people, or went above budget. Now, if I go above budget, it shouldn't matter. I should just get the 25. And that's what happens in a lot of other organizations. You go above the amount, you get compensated for the amount, not above the amount. It's whatever is actually authorized. So $25 would be the max. $20 for breakfast, $25 for dinner. They put that breakfast is after lunch. Okay. Anyway, guess it depends on how your day goes, right? Anyway, they were given a warning to stop, which most of them did, but they were still fired 3 months later, even after stopping. Some repeated the claim that the staff were warned. Other users wrote that there were no warnings, and separately, the company also reportedly made job cuts at WhatsApp, Instagram, and Reality Labs, its virtual reality business responsible for the Oculus headset. These cuts are not related to the issues surrounding the voucher system, but yeah. There's a little bit more of this article, so definitely follow the link through the show notes over to ohmTown, which will lead you over to BBC, or you can always do the search for Meta fires staff for buying toothpaste, not lunch. Let's move on. The next article is over in the mobile channel. Walmart is selling a $17,000 house that looks like an iPhone, although it's going to be a thick iPhone. You can now find multiple listings for prefabricated homes on Walmart for under $16,000, but you also need to remember that home ownership will never be cheap. And I'm just warning people, it isn't as easy as this. You can't just buy $17,000 whatever and then prop it up somewhere. You need to pay for the land. You have to have power. You have to have plumbing. You can have certain like mobile home type of appliances and whatnot, and go solar and off grid and all of that. You need a foundation. You need it all to be permitted. If you want to be on grid, and unless you're out in the sticks, there's a lot of issues involved. You have to have licensing. Anyway, this article is over at gizmodo.com. Kyle Barr put the article together in it. And that's kind of what this one looks like. There's different versions of this, to be sure. It looks more like a bathtub set on its side. You know, one of those kind of, not really pedestal bathtubs, but these little block freestanding bathtubs that aren't mounted in like a frame or anything. They just sit there. That's kind of how this thing looks. But it's horizontally mounted, right? And so you open the door, and inside it, there's a bathroom compartment, and there's a bedroom compartment, and an office space as well. And I actually love this thing. I think that this would make a great portable studio, or a great small form factor brewing, brew house, where you can do your beer brewing and fermentations and do the whole thing in a controlled area. Distillery would probably be out, because at least in the US, because of the rules and regulations. you can't distill anywhere in the United States, not alcohol. Unless it's, well, yeah, even then you still need permission. But anyway, local, state, federal. So this is pretty neat. Walmart is selling these prefab houses. This is the smaller of the two. The larger one right there is $17,000. But they say that it's called the Apple Cabin in the classic shape of an iPhone through Walmart's site. Miniature abode. Has just enough space for a MacBook and not much else, but that's actually not quite true. I wouldn't say that it's large. The smallest version is $12,000, but the larger version is just over $17,000, which is half the price via Walmart than it is for buying it from the manufacturer site, which I find really interesting. So the bigger non-Apple home, it says non-Apple home, weighs just shy of 8,000 pounds, 19 feet long. It's basically a shipping container. And the largest 20-foot container, that's interesting. The largest 20-foot Apple cabin weighs 4,563 pounds. At the very least, Walmart lists that shipping is free and the pod home doesn't require putting up any walls. But my understanding is for this kind of build, it has minimal insulation. You can't drill into the walls. It's not designed for framing so that you can like run wires and stuff like that. For any build out inside the walls, you would have to add drywall and like cement it in, not cement like regular cement, but adhesive them onto the walls to increase the thickness of the walls, and you'll lose space and stuff like that. But so it says homes are made in China, according to Cheryl Industries. I won't get into that, but anyway, there's always these names that are close approximations of something. So building the 19 by 20 foot home requires unfolding a few walls and then using drywall anchors and screws to hold everything together. It says, before you ask, no, you're not supposed to screw into the walls to hang your family portraits, at least when it comes to a pre-installed. Oh, it says, at least it comes with a pre-installed toilet, but the plumbing situation will be on you. So yeah, you'll have to get some plumbing sorted, water, sewage, electricity, all of this will have to come from you. You'll have to figure out how to do it. So I've looked at these over the years from time to time to extend the footprint of ohmTown, and always kind of walked away saying, well, who knows, security and whatnot really plays a role. Temperature control, weather can impact accessibility to these things and security of these things. So they're all dwellings labeled tiny homes need at least 400 square feet of floor area, meaning none of the Apple cabins meet the criteria. But I'm not sure about that. It says, for example, in New York, Appendix Q of the New York State Residential Code restricts the maximum size of tiny homes, otherwise known as accessible dwelling units, ADUs. And these are actually being requested in California as well to address the shortage of homes in various areas. So these ADUs, you get tax benefits and stuff like that when you rent them out. Well, all dwellings labeled tiny homes need at least 400 square feet of floor area, meaning none of the Apple cabins meet the criteria. But I think that you should probably check out your local location, because I'm not sure if that's actually everywhere the same terminology, but we'll find out. The next article is over on the Marvel channel. Cats associate human words with images. Experiment suggests a small team of animal scientists at Azabu University in Japan have found via experimentation and that the common house cat is capable of associating human words with images. Pardon me while I do something. So I just have to address something. So in their study published in the scientific Reports Journal. The group tested volunteer cats, which I'm not sure what that means, looking at images on a computer screen to see if they form associations between images and spoken words. Well, I know for a fact that cats understand certain things. Like they know when you hold something up what it is, and they definitely do associate with it. So Bob Yurka over at phys.org put the article together. Oh, there's a cute kitty. Prior research has shown that cats know when a human is speaking their name. That is obvious, but they don't give a shit. They respond in ways that are different than they're hearing other words. Other experiments have shown that they're able to match photos of people they know to their names. So in this new effort, the researchers found that cats may be able to understand many of the words spoken to them, and to find out if cats have the ability to match a word to an object, the research team enlisted the assistance of 31 volunteer adult house cats. They were volunteered. So the images displayed, a nonsensical word is broadcast. Each cat saw 2 such animations. One was accompanied by the words Kararu, the other Parumo. The videos were played on a loop until the cats looked away. After giving each cat a break, each one was again placed in front of the computer screen, and the same 2 animations were shown in a loop, but this time the spoken words were reversed. As the cat watched the videos, the researchers watched the cats, and they found that they stared longer when hearing the word than during the original broadcast. Some even showed pupil dilation. Both were signs that the cats were confused by the switch up and were looking intently to find an explanation, evidence that they had associated the words with the images on the computer screen, even in the absence of a reward. Huh. Sure. I don't really buy into that, but okay. I guess we'll have to see. I mean, it's much more obvious when you say a word and they go over and get food. I think that makes it much more abundantly clear that they understand when a human says a word and the image of food, right? Like have them walk over to the food, not the actual food dish, but a picture of the food. Then I'd buy into that they understand what that word means. All right, our last article for today's Time Machine episode is over in Non Sequitur News. This tiny country is giving $2,000 to every household as an Exxon oil boom supercharges its economy. So that's why I said gassing the economy. Guyana, the tiny South American nation, is giving $2,000 to every household in the country. Its president said the cash payments aim to narrow disparities and help with higher living costs. A huge Exxon oil find has supercharged Guyana's economic growth and filled the government's coffers. The world's fastest growing economy is handing the equivalent of $2,000 to every household as it works to share its newfound oil wealth and soften the sting of higher living costs. The article is by BusinessInsider.com. Taryn Mohammed put the article together. It says a Guyana government is tapping its newfound oil wealth to give $500 to every citizen age 18 and over. And that's because of the Exxon oil find is basically going to, I guess, the government. The money is going to the government because resources might be nationalized and not like in the United States. It's owned by individual companies that own property, land, particularly. Anyway, so he said previously that each household would receive the Guyanese dollar equivalent, or Guianan dollar equivalent of $1,000, but switched to an individual payment after locals raised concerns about how a household would be defined and how the money would be shared within each home. Ali said that the program aims to reduce Guyana's economic disparities and relieve financial stress. So there you go. This only happens I would say, when there is an infusion of external capital into the local economy. But what's going to end up happening is at some point, people are going to figure out just how much money is in the system, and inflation will continue to creep up because they know that everybody's getting $500 age 18 or over, and greedy bastards will figure out a way to take it. But that's it. That is it for today. And I'm going to turn off the time machine, and that'll send us back to the front page of ohmtown.com. And I'm going to say bye because the sentient AI is not here to sing us off, I suppose. Although they never sing us off. I have aspirations, though. All right. We'll see you in probably a few hours as we reset, let the time machine cool down, and then we'll spin up another episode. So see you soon. Bye-bye.